Hi, and welcome to Freak of the Week. I'm Linda,
And I'm Rosie.
and we are so excited to bring you our premiere podcast. We are going to offer you some tips, some tricks, and share with you some really fun dating stories. So, what's exactly Freak of the Week? How did this all start? I think, Rosie, you're best to explain.
So I found myself single um, in in the early '90s, actually, and pretty much I had two ways of meeting people, either organically, and I was in a sales job, so I was out and about a lot, and so I did meet some people organically, and true confession, I probably dated a customer or two, and or the other way was to potentially be fixed up, and I found myself. Um, in a situation where I made sure that people understood that I was looking. So, being open to being fixed up, my neighbor across the street said, we know this guy. He's been divorced for a while. He's super smart, very successful, crazy funny. Now I'm getting excited. I'm like, wow. And I mean, I didn't know these people well, but the way they described him, I'm thinking, okay, what about the outfit? Like now I'm starting to get really amped up about meeting him. And so we speak on the phone, and he was articulate. I mean, as much as you can tell, from somebody on the phone. He asks me what I look like. And I said, well, I'm not a troll and I'm not a supermodel. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm average. I said, what do you look like? And he said, well, I look like my hair looks like Gary Shandling's. So Gary
He
Shandling,
actually said his hair looks like Gary Shandling.
which apparently was the best thing he could have come up with. So Gary Shandling had kind of, I would almost describe it a little bit like helmet head, sort of like longish hair, but not kind of
It was tall. I
indescribable.
remember it was tall. He had tall hair.
Not, it's a little tall, a little like not like a little wavy. So we agree to meet, and so he tells me he'll be at the bar when I get there. So I go to the bar, and now I'm looking for hair that looks like Gary Shandling's because I don't have much else to go on. And I see him, and I figure out who he is. I go up to him. I say, "Hi, I'm Rosie," and he's got an enormous, I guess, a double um, white Russian in front of him. So he kind of slides. He says, "You ready to go to our table?" And I said, "Yes." He slides off the stool, and he's my height, if not maybe a little shorter. Now I'm 5'3", so I'm not very tall. And okay, can't change the height. So we go to the table. He immediately orders another white Russian, a double. I think I probably had a glass of wine. And we began the dinner chit chat. The stuff that you ask when you're getting to know someone, talking about the job, talking about the family. Well, he tells me about two of his passions. One is this Mercedes Benz that he has, that he goes on into great detail about how gorgeous it is, how comfortable it is, how easy it is to drive, how it's he doesn't use the word user friendly, but he uses the word like it's intuitive. He makes it sound like it's almost a rocket ship, like he's so crazy about. His
Okay.
other passion is his family, and particularly his mother, who it's clear he's very fond of, and he tells me that she's had some health issues. So he takes out the pile of papers, which are clearly something medical, and he tells me that she's had an angioplasty, and this happens to be her angioplasty report. And he says to me, "Look at this. Look at these arteries. Did you ever see arteries this clear? Like it's a miracle." And at this point, I don't know what to say. And I said, "It's wonderful. I'm so happy that she's doing well." And he says, "As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go call her." And this is still payphone days. And he excuses himself, orders another white Russian, by the way, it needs to be said. So now we're hammering white Russians apparently. And he goes to pay to the payphone to call his mother. And I'm thinking it would be great for me to just vanish now, for me to hit the road, but I don't want to hurt his feelings. He seems like a nice person. Um, Obviously loves this car that I'm actually a little bit excited. I'm a car girl. I'm actually a little bit excited to see this car, and clearly, loves his mother, which is, you can't ever fault somebody for loving their mother. So he comes back to the table, and the date carries on. He gets back from his phone call. He orders, I would say he had at least two more white Russians as we finish dinner. So now, in my estimation, not being an expert, he's hammered. He's getting hammered. So now I'm talking, but in my mind, I'm thinking, this guy can't drive back to Long Island from central New Jersey. I
Mhm.
mean, this is bad. So I said, we finally finished dinner. He finishes his other drink. And I said, listen, here's what I think we should do. Let's go to your car. There's a hotel across the parking lot. This was kind of I'll call it kind of an industrial area. And I think you should check into the hotel, even if it's just for a couple of hours to sleep this off. I don't think it's safe for you to drive. He puts up a little bit of an objection, but not so much. And so he
Mm.
agrees. So I'm grateful for that. So we walk to, now I'm expecting to see a fabulous looking Mercedes. And I know what they look like. I mean, when I see the car that he walks to, my heart stops. It's got to be 10 years old if it's a minute. It's it's old, it's beat up, it's all dinged, it's all scratched. It clearly, and if you know anything about cars, they frequently on a higher end car they change the whole physical appearance of these models. I'm trying to think back, not being an expert on Mercedes, I'm trying to think back. This thing has to be at least 10 years old. I haven't seen one that looks like this in a long time. So I say, listen, I'm going to drive. I'm going to drive you across the parking lot. I'll walk back to my car after I drop you off. And I unlock the door. The minute I open the car, now I'm horrified because the exterior of the car is a hot mess. The interior, if it's possible, is even worse. There's trash everywhere. As soon as I open the door, cigarette smoke hits me. And I notice that the passenger seat is broken. It's kind of semi reclined. And I said, get in. Now, at this point, now I'm like, I'm so done with this date. I said, get in. And he says to me, "Did you ever drive a Mercedes?" And I'm like, "Dude, get in this car." I said, "Listen, I drive a BMW, which looks a hell of a lot better than this. My BMW is probably a year old at this point." And I said, "Listen, we're good. I know how to drive." And as I said, "Get in." I drive him across the parking lot. I said, I'm watching you as you check in. I lock the door. All I'm thinking to myself is, I am never going to get the smell of smoke out of my hair and out of my clothes, which, by the way, I'm in a nice outfit. I really did dress well for this date that I was so excited about. And he walks in the hotel, and I'm thinking, I'm going to stink. I walk back across the parking lot to my newish car, which is clean and pristine and does not smell like smoke. I
Oh,
roll I know I roll down all the windows and I drive back to Southern New Jersey.
so Rosie, comes in, she's telling me this story, and she's explaining the evening and what happened, and I'm just sitting there, like, wow, like this is unbelievable. I'm like, this guy is a freak. All of our colleagues are standing around laughing, listening to the story. And just as Rosie gets to the part with the arteries and says he puts the arteries down and he starts talking about how beautiful the arteries are, um, a gentleman, Mark, he walks by, another salesperson, and says, "Hey, Rosie, you got to be in it to win it." Now, what if you're not in sales, you have to understand that sales, a lot of it is a numbers game, right? You're going to meet a lot of different people. You're not always going to do business with them. They're going to, some you will, some you won't. But you got to meet a lot of people. And you may have heard the saying, you got to kiss a lot of toads before you meet the handsome prince, right?
Yeah, so it's
So
okay if I'm kissing all these toads, by the way.
through Freak of the Week, Rosie actually found her prince.
I did. I did. Um, Through my freak of the week and at work, someone said, I know someone who would just really love you. And I thought, oh, again, but okay, I've got a goal here because everybody's going to be waiting for the Monday morning story. So, okay. And she said, we're going out on Friday. It happened to be St. Patrick's Day in Philadelphia. And I agreed to go because at this point, I'm in it to win it, which is what I was told to do. So as it turned out, it was fireworks. And unlike the other freaks, I actually dated, got engaged, and married this freak of the week, who was a fabulous guy. And we were insanely happily married until he got very sick. And over the course of a couple of years, he passed. So he's been gone for a little while now. And Linda had said to me, it's time. You got to be in it to win it. Like, let's pick back up where you left off. So now fast forward to, recently, and online dating is now everywhere.
Mhm.
There's a bunch of different apps, and really it's a very acceptable way. I had many friends who had met their partners or significant others on online dating apps. And so I would have normally been reluctant, but the matter is, I'm really having fun with it. And through the course of some of our episodes, you're going to find if you treat it in the spirit of fun and of setting your expectations properly, it can be sort of fun. Like, I'm having fun online dating. Our goal is to help you understand what this landscape looks like.
So, with a combination of commitment, approach, and attitude, we want to help you transform your dating experience. So, commit to you. Put the time into meeting new people. And not just with online dating, meetups, local clubs, consider taking classes. Anything that will expand your circle is really terrific. Now for the approach. You know what? You got to be in it to win it. Reach out to people. It doesn't matter that they don't check off all your boxes. You're not going to check off all theirs. Date outside your traditional type. Give yourself a goal. I want to meet one person for a coffee date a week. And most important is your attitude. Go into this with zero expectations. Just enjoy the people you're meeting. The best thing that you can do for yourself is really just have fun. Again, drop all your checklists. You don't check off their boxes, and they don't check off all of yours. Give yourself a break and enjoy the moment. So, join us every Wednesday where we laugh, learn, and share stories about dating. Discover how you can spot scammers and catfishes fast. Learn about the behind the scenes of online dating software. Get some tips and tricks. Hear other people's stories and laugh out loud because you're not alone. And again, just remember, you are
Somebody's freak of the week.